when you're playing, to be honest, you're not really focusing on the crowd and stuff. You just hear noise. There's something that I always used to do was in our warm-up, I'd take it in. But once the ball goes up, the flick switches and then you're on. Professional athletes are always disappointed, especially if they perform really poorly and you lose. Because you've let your team down, you let those fans down, but you've got a job that you need to be able to get yourself up because you need to perform 5, 6, 7 days later. So you try to learn with winning or losing. Don't listen to all the noise in the media. Because 1 week, hey, you're the hero. Best player, how good is he? He's our future. 2 weeks later, you have 2 bad games. Drop him, he shouldn't be playing. How's he playing? I'm better than him. Don't listen to the noise of the media, whether it's good or bad.
All right, welcome back to the Out of Interest podcast, everyone. Sad day today. It's we're just talking about it. It's the last time we're shooting a pod in this room. We've done a pod a couple of episodes earlier talking about how we're relocating to Bahrain. And so this will be the last one here. The next ones you'll see it in most likely in Dubai. Sad day. This place is...
Memories.
Man, a lot of memories.
All
We've got a
the
lot of
merch.
memorabilia here.
Yeah.
Got Tom Brady's signature there. We've got a couple of Tyson Furies. Oh, man,
Pereira.
good stuff. And today's guest, as we just said it, we left the best to last.
Let's hope so. Let's hope we save the best to
Maza, I
last.
don't know about you, but I had to look at his name 700 times, right? Even before the pod, I always get confused. Adam Saad, Ahmed Saad,
Yeah,
right?
it happens.
Always without fail.
Yeah.
And I know it's Ahmed Saad, but I always get confused because obviously Adam Saad is playing. He's still playing.
Yep.
So all that confusion comes in. I don't know about you, but
I'm the
that's
same.
that's me.
I'm the same.
Right?
I got to ask if they're related.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Are you related?
I'm assuming you get asked that, don't you?
Yeah, we both do a fair bit. And sometimes I get called Adam when people first meet me and stuff, and they think it's him, or I just sometimes go along with it rather than explain it. I feel bad, but no relation. I'm Egyptian. He's obviously Lebanese, so there's a massive Saad family, Lebanese cohort down in the north. But Egyptians, there's not many Saads, so I'm one of few at the moment. Hopefully my kids will continue the legacy, but no relation. Good friends though.
Any of them Adam? Your kids?
No, Adam. Didn't want that mistake, so I went Noah. But it's funny. Adam's got a brother named Noah.
Okay.
So what have I done there?
Okay.
So
Still
we got
connected.
Noah and Idris are my 2 sons, but we're still connected somehow, which is good.
Yeah. Well, look, welcome to the pod, man.
Nah,
It's a
thanks for
pleasure
having
to have
me.
you
Appreciate it. Thank you.
We've been trying to get you on for a week now, Wayne. You bailed on us, you cancelled on us, but you're busy.
Yeah.
You are.
Yeah,
He
we've been-
really
I
wanted
think-
to be the last one.
I
He's like,
wanted
I
to
want
make
to be the
sure.
last one.
I heard this move was on the cards. I was like, how can I make it a little bit special? How can I be different from the other guests? But I think since we'll talk around Christmas time, we're talking. Apologies, a few things come up, and I think your calendars didn't align. Don't blame it all on me. But we're here now, and that's the most important thing. So,
But man, you're from Egypt, as you said. Were you born there?
Nah, born here. I was born here, and when I was 8, I moved to Egypt. I actually lived there for 6 years. That's when I played soccer. Both parents were born over there, though. And then, obviously, as most of our parents probably, I'm guessing, migrated here. And then, pretty much lived my whole life here besides that 6-year gap.
I come across a lot of TikToks about scams in Egypt, about the pyramids.
Yeah.
What's going on there,
Pyramids
man?
are real, man. Have you been?
No, I have not been.
Best thing ever.
Yeah.
I've been a few places around the world, and I could say that not being biased because I'm Egyptian, but the pyramids are amazing. Seeing them up front and up close, it's probably one of the best things I've seen.
Yeah, Maza, you were telling me.
Mate, it's on my bucket list.
Yeah.
You look at the Valley of Kings, you look at the pyramids, all that kind of stuff.
The
It's
history. If you love
phenomenal.
history and you love that type of stuff, even if you don't and you just want to look at something cool, I'd
But even
definitely
the
say
culture,
pyramids
the
are pretty
food,
cool.
It looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, look, there is the scamming's not as pop. Yeah, look, it's
But you
it's
get
hard
them
to
everywhere,
say.
man. You get scammed
Scams everywhere.
Yeah, look, it's a
I
tough
went to
one.
Turkey last year. You gave me a lecture about this is how not to get scammed in Turkey.
Yeah, look, I can
No
definitely
one's
tell you,
safe
you will
from-
get scammed if you not scammed. They just probably take advantage of tourists.
Yeah.
That's what I can say. So it's always good to go for a good guide, or if you go in there, you try to know someone that can take you around. Because they'll just get excited when they see some tourists, a bit of money, and they just try to get a bit of money. Unfortunately, Egypt's a bit, there's a lot of poverty, and the classes are quite different. They'll try to take advantage when they can, but overall, it's a beautiful place.
Yeah. No, I think it's on everyone's bucket list to see the pyramids at least once.
Yeah.
One of the wonders of the world.
What
Yeah,
I want to
that's
ask you, right? There's a lot of opinions on how the pyramids were built. What's your take on that?
Aliens, man.
Yeah.
I can't tell you. Look, pharaohs apparently. I don't know. I don't know.
So there's no explanation like in the Egyptian culture on how it came about?
Not really.
No?
It's just the pharaohs. The pharaohs
Okay.
built it. So that's what everyone gets told. And pharaohs apparently bigger. And I don't know. But that's why it's so amazing. Like,
Yeah.
That's why when you go and look at it, you're like, well, how is this built? Like you look at each kind of stone and how big it is. It's impossible. Like back then, there was no machinery. There was none of that stuff. So for the way it's built and the size of it, it's just it's that's why it's so amazing. It's one of the wonders.
And they're still standing in the middle of a desert, haven't
Yeah.
eroded, haven't...
Nothing.
Oh, we used to have 12 apostles here. Now we have, 7.5 or something?
nearly,
right?
nearly on the way down to half. Yeah.
So their ability to sort of maintain all that is pretty phenomenal as well.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. So that's why it's so cool when you go see it up front. But yeah, I couldn't tell you how they've been made.
Yeah.
I'll say pharaohs.
It's gone a very different direction to what you expect. Is like, I didn't know. When asked me about about
He wasn't prepared for
it.
I didn't put that in the podcast.
Maybe let's go and chat GPT or
Yeah.
something. How did the pyramids get built?
Let's go to something a bit more familiar with you. You mentioned about playing soccer in Egypt and then
Yeah.
coming over here. Was sport always part of the DNA? Is it a family kind of thing with you, or was
Yeah.
it just like, you know what, I can't be stuffed with school. I'm not good at that.
Yeah.
Let me apply my craft somewhere else.
Yeah, sport was always part of my DNA. My dad played volleyball growing up.
Professionally?
Professionally, he represented Egypt.
Uh-huh.
My uncle also played basketball and represented Egypt under 21s. My dad always had balls around the house. I was always around sport. So for me, it was something I always loved as a kid and always enjoyed. And when in Egypt, obviously, once we moved there, soccer's like religion.
Yep.
So everyone was playing it, so I just started playing it, and I actually loved it. I was actually quite good. And just before I was coming back to Australia, when I got told we're going to make a move, I was actually playing for the Melbourne Victory Youth Academy over there. So one of the good teams I was starting to play for, and then we had to make the move back here. But yeah, sport was always part of the DNA. I was okay. Lucky I was good at sport.
Yeah.
But yeah, school I was always one of, like every kid that loves sport, most of the time their report will say, has great capabilities and great, awareness in class, but overall, I'll distract a fair few people and muck around in class and stuff. But yeah, I could definitely do it if I put my craft to it and applied myself to it. So yeah.
So you made the right call, huh?
Huh?
You made the right call.
Yeah, lucky I was good at sport. Yeah, so which is all right.
I mean, it's every kid's dream to become an athlete, a male.
At
in the days,
the highest level.
It's the highest level.
Yeah, yeah.
And do you think it's in Australia it's harder for that? Because you look at sport all around the world,
Yeah.
like in America and in Europe, it's massive. They get paid so much money. In Australia, I bring this up a lot. Like in Australia, sport, you're gonna get what's the most you're gonna get paid here? You got a couple of AFL players and earning a couple of million here and there.
Yeah.
But majority are earning not that much if you
Yeah.
really look at the grand scheme of things. So, do you think you got shortchanged in Australia as an athlete?
Well, yeah, you definitely don't get paid as much as you get paid, let's say, soccer in Europe and, NBA and all that kind of stuff. But if you look at how big that country is, how big their sporting is, like if you look at going once, we went to Colorado for one of our footy preseason camps with the Saints, and their facilities were better than ours. And we're an AFL club. So the money they have over there for sport is ridiculous, but I wouldn't say it's harder in Australia to make it. I think they're two different things. Yeah, you might not get paid as much as athletes overseas, but making it, I think, is very similar everywhere else. If you put the hard work in, you're dedicated, all the stuff we all know that you need to make as a professional athlete, if you do that, you obviously get a chance to make it. Footy obviously here, the pathways, I feel like it's a lot easier than soccer. Soccer's a bit complicated, I find. But footy being AFL, the code in Melbourne especially is the number one code, and in Australia it's the number one sport. I feel like it's the pathway's quite clear, and if you're good enough, you will make it. So money, massive difference to overseas and stuff. But when you put the scheme of things and how big sport is over there and how big Europe is and the money they invest and stuff compared to here, it's a big difference as well.
Talk us about that journey, right? So you come back over here, you figure out that there's this oval ball that you can kick around. It's just a warped kind of thing, bounces the wrong way whenever it hits the ground.
Yeah.
You get into that. I think you excel in that. From there to getting drafted, like, what did that mean for you, and what did that mean for your family? You come from a sporting family.
Yeah.
To see one of their own, who's not the typical token white Aussie boy, get drafted into Australia's biggest sport. How does the family react to all that?
Yeah, it was different when I came. Like, I got back when I was 14 and still wanted to play soccer because I thought that's the only sport I know and I'm pretty good at it, and I've always wanted to be an elite athlete. So, I came back. I tried to play soccer for 2 years. A lot of politics I found was involved. A lot of clubs were based on, nationality, and I felt like it was a little bit biased towards the people that they would have had it already in their club. And there was a lot of parents complaining that I was starting ahead of their kids, and I was like, this is too much. What's going on here? I just want to play soccer, I'm 15, 16. But then I actually couldn't get to training anymore. My mum changed jobs. My parents were divorced. My dad was in Egypt. My mum was here. So a lot of logistically, I actually couldn't get to training anymore. We moved houses and we moved to Roxburgh Park. And so I started that school. And then all my friends at that school were all playing footy at Roxburgh Park Footy Club, which was across the road to my house. And then I was like, well, I might as well stay fit and play a sport that, I'm not familiar with, but it's actually an avenue for me to make friends. I had no friends. I just got back, moved suburbs, moved schools. So I was like, this is a great way for me to just, continue making friends with these guys. And they actually needed numbers for the team. So they're like, hey, Ahmed, why don't you come play? We need numbers for the team. So I was literally just a number for them. I couldn't kick. We'd play at lunchtime. I was quick. I had good agility. I had a good jump and I could actually mark, but kicking, I was hopeless. So they thought, just come and just be a number for us. So I was happy to do that. And then I just fell in love with it at 16. I got my uncle and he played footy back then. So I just started letting him teach me how to kick. And when we played kick to kick, it was more him fetching rather than kick to kick. I had no idea how to drop punt. But, if you fast track that to 21, I got drafted. So in those years from 16 to 21,
That's phenomenal.
had to work pretty hard and absolutely loved it. So I was pretty happy to get drafted. And like you said, the family were pretty proud. I was the first Egyptian to make the AFL and the second practising Muslim after Bachar.
Yeah.
Bachar was still playing. So it was pretty cool to be the first Egyptian and also the second practising after Bash.
What do you think is the biggest difference between AFL and soccer in terms of as an athlete? Apart from the obvious, different
part
style
of the
kicking.
oval ball, different kicking, hands, feet.
Yeah, because I feel like on the outside, AFL looks a lot more hectic, right? Like I just feel like you need a lot more stamina. It's a lot more taxing on the body.
Yeah, definitely.
But you've done both to an extent. What are your opinions?
Yeah, AFL is definitely harder because you get tackled, you got to kick, you got to handball, you got to use your hands and feet. Soccer, you just got to learn how to play with your feet. No disrespect to soccer, soccer's still tough, and all sports are tough in their own right. But I feel like footy is a very hard sport to get and master. But also, you're getting hit from 360 degrees. The ball doesn't stop unless there's a stoppage. And it's just so continuous. You got 18 on the field. It's a big field. The ball's unpredictable. I feel like it's an exciting sport, definitely. Not here to sell it because I think everyone loves it. But compared to soccer, soccer's low scoring, and that's why the engagement is a lot lower in soccer, I feel like, because people get bored. But I love soccer. Like I'll get up and watch Man United at 3 a.m. Like I still massive advocate for soccer and always will be. But yeah, I feel like it's way tougher. From an athletic perspective, footy athletes are definitely fitter, I would say, and stronger than soccer athletes. I might get a few of my friends ring me up and
That's
be
true
happy.
though.
Especially
Like it's true.
Yeah.
Like
But
in soccer, they fall to the ground pretty easily.
No. I'm not saying they dive and all that kind of stuff. Mate,
You said I didn't use the word dive, right?
Mate, I respect all sports, and to make it at any elite level, you got to respect it. You got to.
Which one do you enjoy playing more?
Honestly, I love
Personally,
both.
Really? Like
Yeah.
I prefer playing soccer more.
Yeah.
It's more fun.
Yeah. I honestly love both. I love both the same. I still try to play indoor soccer or futsal whenever I can. And then obviously footy I still love and I still play. But yeah, both sports are awesome. I'm trying to get my son to play both at the moment. So they're definitely great sports to play.
Yeah. Well, what do you think is the most boring sport in the world?
I don't know. I'd say from the most, let's say, common sports.
Yeah, let's go to mainstream
Yeah,
ones,
the mainstream ones. And again, I respect all sports. So I'm not, but probably for me, golf is a little bit boring. However, it's very hard to master. And I've tried to hit, go to the driving range as we all have and try hit, and I struggle. So I actually respect how hard it is, but I reckon it's a bit boring. Cricket, for me, I find it a bit
Oh,
boring.
you're insulting him.
And
Come
again,
on.
I respect.
Boo.
I love all. I respect all sports, but I don't know. There's a couple of sports that personally I don't like to watch as much. But again, respect how hard it is to master and respect all the athletes. So don't want to come here on whacking sports. But for me, I love basketball. I love watching soccer, footy, NFL. Volleyball.
Fair enough.
Better say that before
Male
my dad
or
gets me in trouble.
female volleyball? Which one?
Any. Yeah.
He's been baiting you the whole time.
Yeah, I'm not falling into
You
any
need to be
traps he's
grabbed.
setting. He's setting a fair few. I'm not making any, not falling for him, hopefully.
So you get drafted, Saints, right?
Yep.
You go into this big club environment. You're an Egyptian boy, and this is now the big leagues. It's massive. How daunting is that? Do you feel anxious, nervous, worried, confronted by all this?
Yeah.
And how do you then go about sort of building a bridge, building a relationship with all these, big different characters, different personalities, and finding your special little space in the organization?
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't feel anxious and anything like that. I got drafted a bit older, so I was 21 when I got drafted, so I felt like I've been through the real life a little bit. I was grateful to be in that environment where I was trying to get to for so long and missed out on a few drafts to make it and started footy late, etc., etc. So I was going in pretty confident and grateful to be a professional athlete. So I was lucky also that Bachar had already started paving the way for Muslims and people started to understand a little bit, okay, well, if you're Muslim, you might need to require a few things. So the club were really good. They were really welcoming. And when I got there, they said, well, what do we need to know? Like, you're a Muslim, what do we need to know? So I actually got up in front of the group and the coaches and let them know what Muslims need. And there's Ramadan, I need to fast and I'll need a place to pray and halal food, etc. And everyone kind of had a little bit of an idea because of, what Bash did. So I was lucky in that sense. I reckon if you ask that question to Bash, he'd probably say, yeah, it was a bit harder, because there was no one before him to pave the way. So I was lucky in that sense, but it was still early on, so I still had to educate a fair bit. But the club was awesome, really welcoming, the players as well. A lot of them asked questions and they were eager to learn, and I was happy to educate as well and promote our religion. So within our club, I was pretty welcomed for sure and felt comfortable
Did
being
you
who I was.
play while fasting?
I didn't. I train and do all that while I was fasting. Night games, you'll be able to break your fast and play. But day games, I wouldn't fast, playing AFL. It's just too hard. Physically, you can't do it. And
Did you try?
Not at AFL.
Yeah.
I tried doing it at VFL and I struggled a fair bit. So I didn't do it at VFL level. But local footy now, I'll fast easily because I feel like I can probably still play at a level that I can still play good enough. But my religion will probably come first when it comes to local footy. Being a professional athlete, it was a bit harder to fast during games.
Yeah, I
You
could
just
imagine.
physically couldn't do it.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
Because you look at it like you guys are chugging down drinks all the time.
Yeah.
It's like impossible. Like I don't know how it would work. Like
You're sprinting for that long.
Yeah.
You need to.
It's really hard. Like you go when you fast and you go for a run, how do you feel? If you go to the gym, how do you feel? So imagine playing with 8 versus 18 elite athletes and you're trying to play well and do your part for the team and play at that high level. It's way too hard on the body. So playing AFL, I never fasted during the game and obviously spoke to a sheikh and got an exemption and stuff. Obviously made up for that day and donated, etc. But now at local level, definitely fast every game. So when I have to. Now it's actually come back. It's only in practice games, so I'll probably miss those practice games and not play.
by the looks of it, there's a big difference between local and AFL. Because if you could fast there and still kick ass, it's just like
It's a big jump,
Yeah.
obviously, because then there's local footy, certain divisions, and then you go play VFL, and then there's AFL. It's a big jump, definitely.
I've always wondered when AFL footballers get, let's say, dropped or they're injured, have to go through their rehab and go through the VFL. Is there any protection provided them in VFL games? They're looking, this is part of the A
bubble
team.
wrapping,
You can't injure this guy. Because sometimes you get big name AFL footballers in the VFL. I was like,
Nah, that's the risk. That's the risk you take.
So everyone goes full tilt.
100%. The opposition team's not going to look after you because
You don't have a
you're the best
bodyguard on
player
you.
in the other team. They're going to go for you.
What about your teammates? Your teammates don't get a bit more around you,
bodyguard.
sort of,
you can't because once you get on the field, you're playing on instinct. Like you're just playing. So, and that's the risk a lot of clubs will take, and that's why you probably don't see a lot of potentially big names that come back from injury, they might not risk them through the VFL. They might do an extra week of training or whatever it is, and then let's just play them. One, because they're probably so experienced and good enough to be able to just come back at that level. Just like, for example, a senior footballer at local level, he might not need to come through the reserves at local. Why? Because he's good enough to play at senior level. So it happens across all divisions and all codes, I would say. So, it's very rare that you'd see, if Bontempelli gets injured, he's not going to probably come for the reserves. He's probably going to go straight into the seniors. Why? Because he's capable to play at that level easily. And you don't want to risk him playing VFL and he gets injured. And sometimes they do if they're coming off long injuries and stuff. Each club's different, obviously. But, most will probably just go straight in to the senior side. And like I said, that's across VFL, local, or AFL as well.
Who's the most difficult player you came against?
Difficult player, I'll probably say there was one game we played North Melbourne, Michael Ferrito.
Okay.
So he's big boy, mate, as big as his door, but fast, strong. And I was thinking, why is he playing on me? Like, I thought I'd get someone a bit smaller. It was in my first year. And I was actually playing okay. Like, I was starting to get a few games. I was starting to play well. And from the first bounce, he just started whacking me. And I was like, this is going to be a long day. He was whacking me. He was strong. He was fast. And it was a tough day. I think we actually got smashed that game. In that first quarter, I got belted. And I even remember Scott Waters was our coach at the time, and he came out to the boys. And I think anyone saw it because I was always playing deep as a forward, and he'd always get me as we're getting up and swack me and stuff like that. So he just saying, like, boys, can anyone help Sadie? Because Sadie's getting absolutely belted down there. And then second quarter, a lot of the boys came and started putting some shepherds on or just trying to help me a little bit. But, he was probably my toughest just because he just physically was bigger and stronger, and he was smacking me left, right and centre, so I couldn't really get off him. So he was probably my strongest opponent I had to play on. Heath Shaw was pretty good as well.
Heath Shaw?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, the bull.
Yeah.
Super fast and real competitive, and he was probably one that was pretty tough to play on as well.
How about the big names? Obviously you got Dusty, you got the Bontempellis, as you said. Like, are these guys like overhyped, or are they like legit on the ground?
Mate, they all got those names and reputation for a reason. Lucky enough, I was a forward, so I didn't have to play on them. They're in the midfield, obviously, so different positions. So, I'd say all those players that you see dominate the game, they do it for a reason, and their names are up there for a reason. They do the work at training, and even I was lucky enough to play with, Lenny Hayes, Nick Dalsano, Nick Revolt, Lee Montagna, Goddard. Like, all these guys are probably legends of the Saints, or not probably, they are. Stephen Milne, and to play with them and to see how hard they work at training and how they go about things at the club and their preparation, and even on game day, like Nick Revolt would get there before anyone, and he would already do 6-7 Ks on the ground as his warm-up, and he'd get ready with us. And so you just see that amount of prep each player would put in. That's why they are so great, and probably the greats, one of the best players to play at the Saints. And I was lucky enough to play at the Saints in that era where there was so many good players, and have so many really, elite athletes around me that I could actually look up to. And Stephen Milne was, I would say, is probably the top 3 best small forward to play the game, and that's not being biased. I actually genuinely think so. Eddie Betts, Urioli, and him, I'd say the best 3. And to play with him and have him mentor me was huge in my first year. Even at training, I remember every time we'd do any drills and, the ball would hit the ground, and I'm like, yes, I can see, I'm about to crumb it, Milne, bang. It was always just that second ahead. So I was, so it was really good to play with him and have those guys around me.
You mentioned about Revolt coming in early, doing the laps and all that kind of stuff. From when you played, which was a few years back, to where we are today, and now you're obviously involved in coaching and everything else that you're doing right now, how far do you think things like sports science and all this stuff has come in, where now do players still get that flexibility to be able to say, look, I'm going to trust my own systems, and I'm going to tire myself out more, or going to work harder or whatever, versus, no, this is a structured program, you need to come in? Or is it because Revolt's a legend, so legends get a pass on everything? They can start the season late, they can do whatever they like because they're OG, whereas the rest of the troops have to come in and regimented.
Yeah, so it's sports science obviously this changed the game, and obviously it's a lot more data orientated, and you look at the systems and how teams play and all that kind of stuff. But I think when it comes to individual preparation, the clubs are happy for the players to prepare the way they need to best perform. So whether it's revolt or a first year player, if that's how they prepare well, if that's how they prepare to play well, then let them be. You don't want to alter someone's preparation, especially before a game. But at trainings, that's when they have a bit more control of the session. This is how many Ks they have to do for this drill. This is how high intensity it's going to be and how much load this person's going to do, et cetera, et cetera. So that's where they could come in and manage loads throughout the week. But I'd say on game day and the day before, they'll let the players prepare themselves. Obviously, the older you are and the more experience you get, you prepare better. And it's up to the young guys when you're coming in to figure out, all right, what does he do? What's Stephen Milne doing? What's Nick Revolt doing? What's Goddard, Del Sano, these guys have played for so long doing? And just take what works for you. So what Nick does might not work for me. What Stephen does might not work for me. But I'll take a little bit off him, and then put into my preparation. So it's not like one size fits all, especially before a game and preparing. It's almost like when you talk about diet and nutrition. Your diet, his diet, that person's diet is not going to work for me, but you know what? That's actually a good thing that might work for me. So you take a little bit off everyone from the guys that have done it so well for so long. And that's what I try to do. I try to come in and see what everyone does and figure out, okay, that's going to work for me, and I'll try to implement it into my routine and my preparation and just learn off those guys as much as you can.
Yeah. How is it playing against Collingwood and their fans? There's a lot, obviously everyone bags their fans and whatnot. Yeah. How is it on the receiving end? Is it noticeable?
Nah, when you're playing, to be honest, you hear noise, but once you're playing, you're in the zone, you're not really focusing on the crowd and stuff. You might hear people, but you don't hear words. You just hear noise. So if the best players be able to shut that out and don't get under pressure and don't feel it. And I remember something I'd always used to do was in our warm-up, I'd take it in. That's when I'd look around, okay, this crowd, I'd take it all in because it's pretty cool to be out there and see so many people, especially my first couple of games. I loved it. I loved hearing the noise. I loved the crowd. I loved us kicking a goal, the celebration, all these little things after you win and the club songs, all these little things that you do when you play. I used to love. So I used to take it in. But once the ball goes up, it switches, the flick switches, and then you're on. You're playing on instinct. You're focusing on your role, what you need to do. I actually remember when my first game, I came on as a sub at halftime. Sam Fisher got injured in the second quarter, did his hammy. So I came on and I remember walking to my position and I had Nick Revolt and Justin Kaczynski next to me, and they just they go, Saadi, mate, enjoy it, but just have a look around you first. I had a look around, like, how good's this? MCG, Friday night game, enjoy it. So I took it in as I was walking to my position, but as soon as the ball went up, all that went away and I was just focused on playing. So you kind of been able to zone it out and just perform. And I guess, it's something that you want to take in, but also you don't want to get distracted by it.
I'm assuming you missed that feeling.
Yeah, I definitely do. And it's one of the things, like I remember I couldn't sleep after my first couple of night games. I'd be up till 3-4 in the morning, literally in bed. You've just probably finished at 10:30, 11, so you're still a bit wide by the time you get home and you eat and you recover. But I'd be laying down in bed and I could just still hear the crowd, and especially my first couple of games. It was just so cool. Like, it's something that you have to, lucky enough to be an elite player to experience that. And I was super grateful that I was there and be able to enjoy those little things, and I'll never take it for granted. I definitely, obviously now it's way done. I'm nearly 10 years out, and but I would have loved my career to go for longer than it was, and to be able to enjoy that a little bit more, but also grateful that I got the opportunity to do that, because not many people have.
That's awesome. In terms of, traveling interstate for games, everyone says, being on the road is hard.
Yeah.
Where was it hardest for you? Which stadium, which ground did you find to, I hate this place. I can't navigate it. I can't. You're a small forward trying to pick the pockets, do this, do that. It's miserable. You hated going there.
Yeah, I'd probably say the SCG was small. It was a small ground, smaller than the rest. So I struggled to find a lot of space in that ground. But yeah, it's funny because each state you go to, you travel with the team. So people say it's hard, but it's also cool. It's also a really good opportunity to connect with your team. You're one traveling. It's like you're going on a mission. You're going to try and win a game, play together, and get back. And the games that you win interstate, they're the best games. Why? Because you're away from your fans, you're away from your family. You go to a stadium that there's not many people who support you are there, and you win those games. They're the really good ones that actually build your season. And that's the best teams in the AFL will win more of those games than not. And that's how they stay the best teams. You know, the ones that lose a lot of the away games, well, that's when it's harder.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I actually enjoyed sometimes going away, getting on the road, going away with the team, you know, playing and then coming back. It's pretty cool. And it's part of being an elite athlete. And it's stuff you see, you know, whether it's soccer and you see guys traveling and see them on the aeroplane, all that kind of stuff. Even as a kid, like if you ever got on a plane and you saw a team on there,
Oh yeah.
how cool is
That's
this?
huge.
So I was one of those guys walking on the plane. So I was like, how cool is this? I'm one of, you know, the people that I used to look at. So yeah, you enjoy those little things, as I said. And yeah, anything you get to do while you're playing at elite level, yeah, it's great.
Speaking of seeing the players on the plane, that happened to me last year. The Brisbane team were on the plane.
Yeah.
I can't remember where I was. I think from Melbourne to Brisbane we were going. I think they had a Friday night game or something.
Yeah.
This was towards the end of the season. And I'm just looking at them like I'm some deer looking at a lion. I'm like, wow, look at these guys. They're so tall. How does he fit in that seat?
Yeah.
Like,
I
it
was
made
never
no
that tall,
sense.
so I was always in the baby seat. So I didn't.
And I'm looking at it, I'm like, why aren't they in business? Like, why are they just in normal cattle cars? Like,
Yeah.
I thought they'd be like private jets, something
Nah.
fancy.
Mate, it's not like soccer and
It's not the
overseas.
NBA.
Yeah, man.
Man City and United
Yeah.
don't have their own charter planes. We travel like everyone else, and there would be, and you know, interstate planes. There's only probably 6 business class seats.
it.
Yeah.
So that's probably
They
your
put the
Nick
best
Revolt.
players in
Yeah,
there.
your Nick
Who they got the
Revolt.
highest
Yeah.
disposals,
The
chuck in
taller
there.
players, the better players, and all of us at the back, you know, sitting normally. So
Yeah, then a few weeks later, they won the premiership. So it
Yeah.
was such a
Yeah, that's
weird
right.
situation.
Yeah.
So when you're at the airport, do people ask for like selfies? Because when I was looking at it, no one asked for selfies. Everyone was just looking.
yeah,
And then when we landed, the
you
Channel
definitely get-
7 was there, I think.
Yeah.
Everyone was just chilling. It was a crazy
Yeah,
experience.
you definitely get people stopped, especially like the best players is when we're walking and all that kind of stuff. You see that a fair bit. But yeah, like I said, it's a cool experience to be able to experience that, to be wearing that uniform with the team and traveling together and seeing fans and stuff like that. Yeah, it's definitely a cool feeling when you get stopped and you get asked for a photo or autograph and stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
The first time someone asked for a selfie, how did you feel? Did you feel like, oh, mum, I made it?
Yeah.
Like, how's that
It's like, I'm
feeling?
the man now.
Weird, awkward half smile.
Yeah, it's like, are you sure you're not after Adam? I'm Ahmed, not Adam. But it's definitely a cool feeling, and it's just a reward for your hard work.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, we're all human, but you know, we work. You got to work pretty hard to take a photo, and I always made sure that I'd always stop, I'd always sign, and all that kind of stuff, because I remember being on the other side, and you wanted autographs from athletes, and you wanted that stuff. So I'd always make sure I was always polite, always gave my time. You know, wasn't a lot, but not like Nick Reeve and these guys that get hammered. You might get 3 or 4, but I always made sure,
The
gave
thing
them the
with-
time they deserve.
With AFL, like when a player retires, a couple of years later, they're forgotten.
Yeah.
Right? And when you look at, soccer and all the other big sports, they're still there, right? They're still known. They're still relevant one way or another. Do you feel like that's because when you look at if an AFL player does not become a commentator, they're completely
Media.
forgotten.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
where are these
Media
people?
or coaching.
Yeah,
Really, what's
they're
really
just
about it.
completely
I
gone.
still think the greats of the game, they're the ones who you still remember. And you'll still, if you see them in the street, you probably still want a photo, you want to still autograph. But that's probably, let's say, 5 players out of the list, each year on year.
Yeah.
Bachar will still get stopped.
Yeah.
You know, he'll still, and that will still last for a while. You know, players like me, players that might have played for 4 or 5 years, or players that have just maybe might have played 10 years, but didn't reach the greats of, becoming a household name. After a couple of years, it filters out a little bit. But the great players, they'll still be remembered. You know, if Dacos walks around after he retires, he'll still be stopped. Bachar, same thing. Revolt, same thing. Montagna, same thing. Milne. But players that might have just played for 3-4 years, or like I said, was a role player for 8 years and just got and finished up, they're the ones slowly it filters out, which is normal. You know, you're only going to remember the best of the best. And soccer, same thing. Unless you're a commentator or coach, yes, but if you're still one of the best players, you still get recognised. You'll still get stopped. And I think that's across all sports.
Was there any particular moment that really stays with you over your playing career? You mentioned it wasn't decades long, but during that time when you were really in your sort of the purple patch, any particular memories that really stand out? Like, you know what, that's going to stay with me forever. Experiences, interactions.
Yeah, I'd say that my first game, like that one with Nick Reva and Kaczynski, like that's pretty vivid in my mind. One, because it's your first game, so you really remember it, and that feeling of back when remember they had the sub vest, so you did the vest, and I remember at half time I got told, "Saad, you're going on. Fisher's done his hammy, get ready." So I warmed up at half time, and then as we're walking out of the race, I actually still had the vest on, just didn't even know I had it on. And one of the boys just ripped it off me from behind. I actually felt like Superman. I was like, oh, how good is this? Got it ripped off, walking out, crowd, and then got to walk out after that. So those two memories in my first game and kicking my first goal with my first kick, that's probably one of the main things that will always stay with me, because I worked so hard to get there, and I finally got there, and it was everything and more than what I would have thought it would be, playing your first AFL game, kicking your first goal. So that was pretty cool. And then, I just reckon, like I said, the crowd stuff, that for me, that would always stay with me, how you'd go out to a game and hear the crowd and celebrating, and when you kick a goal and you hear like that's pretty cool. But, overall, there's not many that, like, can't really say something that's going to amazingly stand out besides the first game stuff. But definitely walking out. My favourite part of playing was always coming out, warming up with the team, and having your shots at goal, taking in the crowd and all that kind of stuff, because that was just before you're about to start, before battle, and you're preparing for your teammates and stuff. And once you start, that's it. You forget everything around you. Yeah. You could be playing at Roxbury Park or playing at the G. It's the same thing because you're in the zone. Obviously better ground, but you're just in the zone once the ball goes up. So it's pretty
Coming back to the faith side of things, obviously Bachar did a lot of work.
Yep.
I think when he was first in Essendon, there was a bit of unlove towards him from what we've seen in the media. And then he came to Richmond, and then that's when the Islam stuff started popping off more. Would you agree that if he wasn't there to do a lot of the hard work to promote Islam within the AFL, future Muslim players would have just had a really, really tough time, or they would have had to carry the weight? Or do you think you would have been able to lead that? Like, tell us the politics behind all that.
I don't know if I can say I wouldn't have got drafted or Adam wouldn't have got drafted, but Bachar definitely helped us in a lot of ways, whether it's our religion and educating and our faith and, putting prayer rooms in stadiums and all that kind of stuff, and making people aware that, Muslims actually need certain things, and he was very courageous to speak up. So I couldn't tell you, that would have happened or that couldn't have happened. It's very hard to say, but him leading the way made it definitely easier. I don't know if he didn't get drafted, would I have? I don't know, but I know that I worked my butt off. I know I was the best player at the time in my position. I know I was ready to be drafted, and same with Adam. Adam worked his butt off to get drafted, and he deserved it as well. And now he's, mashallah, all Australian and doing and still playing really good footy. So he was a pioneer for Muslims to get drafted for sure. Whether he got drafted or not, would I have been able to do what he did? I don't know. I would say I would have loved to, and would have been able to. Would have definitely tried, but I was lucky that I didn't have to, because Bachar already did it. He did the hard yards for us, and then Adam's done the same thing, and when I came in, I tried to educate, and Adam's been awesome at that as well. Now that he's was the only AFL player until Saad got drafted to Essendon, and Saad again, he'll be an amazing role model as well. And he's come through our programs, the Bachar Houli Foundation programs, an ex-participant, and he's someone else that deserves his opportunity as well, because how hard he's worked, not because he's just Muslim, but he's worked his butt off to get there, and missed a few drafts as well. I definitely think Bachar made it easy from a faith perspective, but we all deserve to be drafted based on our talent and how hard we worked.
An observation about the Muslim players so far that have been in the AFL, they seem to be of the same mould.
Yeah.
Agility and size.
And speed.
They're fast and they're small. Why isn't in the Bachar Houli Foundation, because you guys are now obviously you're the breeding ground for the next talent. Is there a ruckman coming through?
Yeah.
Is there a tall full forward coming through? Is there someone?
We lack, I don't know, in our community we lack height,
There's just
don't we?
a mold of Muslims that just we keep on
Yeah.
pumping at the same
The
one
same,
type.
yeah. Well, it's working, so hopefully we
Yeah.
keep pumping them out. But no, we've got a couple of boys coming through our pathway at the moment. Who one's in their draft year this year, I'd say one's a midfielder.
Okay.
But again, small.
Yeah, I thought so.
But another one's actually, he's a bit of a height, like he's a ruckman / tall forward.
Okay.
So he's actually they're both at the Cannons, Hussein and Khalid, and they're doing some really good things at the moment in pre-season. We're hoping that they're a chance to get drafted. I mean, their draft year this year, inshallah. So one's a taller, one's a smaller, but majority are kind of medium sized.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all the same. I actually thought you were going to say why is all the players that got drafted have similarities in names, because we're talking about Adam and me.
Yep.
But if you look, there's Bachar Houli, and then Ahmed Saad, but then there's Adam Saad, and then now the last one, Saad El Houli.
Yeah.
So we're all intertwined.
Yeah.
We're all
It's
we're all connected.
purposely
all
done.
purposely done.
All purposely
So if you
done.
want to be drafted, make sure you name your kids Ahmed, Saad,
Sa-
or Adam,
yeah.
or Houli, because that's the ones they're drafting at the moment.
And there seems to be a lot of sort of the more Arab background as well. There seems to be
Egyptian, Lebanese.
Yes.
But you look, we've got also Mutaz, who's Sudanese background. He's been very close to get drafted the last couple of years. He works at the foundation as well, and he's played VFL at Richmond. He's just been really unlucky. The 2 times he's been spoken about to get mid-season drafted, he's actually got injured both years, last year and this year. And he's had ripper start to the year and he gets injured. But I guess that's his nasib, but he's still working pretty hard. So, the more Muslims we can have playing, it's only better for our community. The more role models we have playing at the elite level is going to only help our young, participants coming through.
Have you ever faced any sort of racism or anything like that?
Nah, personally I haven't. I've been pretty lucky to not have to deal with any of that. I've been pretty lucky. I know Bashar had an incident, Adams had an incident, but personally, I haven't really had a standout moment, maybe in direct comments and stuff like that, but never really a stop and, point out kind of moment. So which is good.
How about the mental health of you guys, right? You when you guys lose a game, a lot of athletes actually said it. Like a lot of footy players that we spoke to say, like, when we lose a game, we move on. The people that are sucking the most are actually the fans. It's like when we lose a game, it's like you just go home, eat a box of pizza, call it a day.
Yeah.
But the fans are still like crying, ripping up membership cards, spitting at your photos and this and that.
Yeah.
Like, how's your mindset when you lose a game?
Yeah, look, 100% you're disappointed. And I know professional athletes are always disappointed, especially if they perform really poorly and you lose, because you've let your team down, you let those fans down. So you're always disappointed when you lose, no matter what. But you've got a job that you need to be able to get yourself up, because you need to perform 5, 6, 7 days later. If you don't train yourself to get out of that mindset straight away, well, you're going to be stuck. Being negative, you'll train poorly, you probably won't recover well, etc., etc. So you try to learn with winning or losing, not be the highest of highs and not get to the lowest of lows. If you can stay consistent in a nice wavelength, whether you win or lose, that will help. Because it's also like when you say, don't listen to all the noise in the media. Because 1 week, mate, you're the hero. Best player, how good is he? He's our future. 2 weeks later, you have 2 bad games, drop him, he shouldn't be playing. How's he playing? I'm better than him. So never take the good and never take the bad. And that's something I've always tried to tell myself. And I had a really great mentor, and I was lucky. I had Grant Thomas as my mentor in my first couple of years, and I lived with him for a little bit in my first year. I was best mates with his son, Tyson. And that's something he always taught me. Don't listen to the noise of the media, whether it's good or bad. And I remember after one game against Brisbane, that's probably the one we were talking about before, it was the only game I got 2 Brownlow votes. Kicked 4 goals. I thought, how good is this? I played a ripper game. My name was in lights. And I got home to his house, and then I had a fair few articles saying some good things about me. And he just pulled me up and he goes, Saadi, come here, let's have a chat. We had a chat after each game. And he goes, how do you think you went? I was like, I thought I played pretty good, 4 goals, we won. He goes, but your opponent had more touches than you. And he said a couple other things. And I was like, well, yeah, you're actually right. Like, I probably should had a couple of things to say to each other, but then what he made me realise is don't get sucked in to the hype, because next week you could perform poorly and then a negative thing comes out on you. So it was really good. He always kept me in line, always kept perspective, and just made me always stay in that nice wavelength rather than up or down. Don't get sucked into that and don't get sucked into that. And that's what I always try to do with my performances. And win or loss, we try to do the same thing. Because if you sulk about it for 3-4 days, you got a game in 2 more days.
Yeah.
How are you going to get yourself up for that?
Fair enough. In terms of your relationship with Bachar and the foundation, all the work that you guys have done, talk to us about how that all started. Was that something that you were actively looking to play a role in, or was it just an opening that you said, look, I'm going to jump into this and get started? And we've sat from afar and viewed and just observed how it's evolved over time, and started off like a good sort of platform and a voice, I guess, for the Muslim community and all that. And now it's become its own behemoth. It's an actual institution. There's a school there, it's all that kind of stuff. So talk to us about that journey, where it started and where we are today.
Yeah, so while I was playing, I was a multicultural ambassador, and Bachar was as well. And Ali Fahur was at the AFL at the time, heading up the diversity department. And while I was playing, I did a lot of work with Bash on his programs, but also had my own little squad as well. So I was always eager to give back to my community, and then Bachar and Ali did the same thing. So how that started was in, I think, 2012. They said, how can we create more Muslim athletes, so they started an academy, just one academy, 50 players came, and they just ran at them two with a couple of volunteers. And then I came on board after I finished up probably 4 years later. And when I finished up, Ali's like, yeah, we'll get you involved in the AFL, because I was doing a lot of that multicultural work while I was playing. And then I started with Bachar and Ali. It was the 3 of us. And then we just had like the Bachar Houli Cup, the Ramadan dinners, and an academy. And then look at it now. We've got a foundation established, the Islamic College of Sport, 12 national programs that we run. And we've just opened up 3 new campuses for our college. So we went from year 11s last year. Now the Islamic College of Sport's got 3 year 11s and 1 year 12, rather than just the 1 year 11 last year. So we're expanding, and the foundation's doing some awesome work. And now we've got 15 full-time staff. We've got state managers in each state, and we run all our programs nationally as we do here in Victoria, and both male and female, whether it's talent, education, employment. We make sure we cover a lot of the stuff. So it's been a good ride, and I feel like we've still got a fair bit to go, and we've got a lot of ambitions to continue to grow, to help our participants, male and female.
What's the end goal with that?
The end goal, to be the best at what we do. We want to be the best foundation, Muslim, non-Muslim. We want to have a really elite established Islamic College of Sport, and we feel like we've got a unique brand there and a unique product. And we just literally want to be the best at what we do and provide, a pathway for our participants, and provide a hub for our Muslims. Whether they need employment, we want to be able to help. They need to try to get drafted, let's try to help. Let's have inter-school sports and get kids engaged in footy at school cups, and let's do that. Educate non-Muslims about our Islam with our Ramadan dinners in each state. Let's do that. So we want to be, we really want to be the best at what we do, and that's what we strive to be. And we've got great people. We've got a great team, and great people on board that are all on the same page, and we've got pretty big ambitions.
Do you guys fight?
Do we fight?
Yourselves?
Nah, we don't. I'd say we between the 4, me, Ali Faraj, who's in Sydney, and Bachar, I'd say the 4 of us are pretty close. We all know what we're good at. We all know that each person has their strengths, and we trust that person will just do their strengths, and we'll leave everyone to do their own thing. Is there confrontation, arguments? Is there disagreements? 100%. But we're so close that we're able to have that, be honest, and just move on. Because we know why we're doing it. We're not doing it for ourselves. We're doing it for our community, and we're doing it for the greater good. So we know that whatever we decide has to be the best thing for our community and our participants.
Well, some of the programs are pretty gutsy. Taking a bunch of young men overseas, traveling, training over there, getting them all set up and keeping them in line and keeping them in check. It's a bit of responsibility there.
Yeah, definitely. But we find that program is really important because it promotes that leadership for our players. A lot of them don't even have passports or been overseas.
Yeah.
So to provide them that and to take them to a Muslim country, take them to an environment they're not familiar with, and we're taking learnings from what we've had at AFL level. You know, what's the best way to help these kids develop on and off the field, especially that we take our elite boys to that, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, we take our best 12 to 14 players from ages 15 to 18, so they're at a good age, and we take them overseas for a high performance camp. But while we're there, we're going to schools, running clinics, we're still promoting our brand, but also promoting AFL over there, and we're teaching them about leadership, we're teaching them about how to educate and coach, and obviously we train and we have a bit of fun and sightseeing and all that kind of stuff, but it's an opportunity for us to take them overseas. But also we had our cohort 2 years ago that a lot of them had come through our junior program. So from their 12, there was about 8 of them from 12 and they were graduating, so they were 18. So they've been with us for 6 years. So we thought, we usually, as staff, a couple of us will head to Omra after we head to Saudi after that program. And then we thought, you know what, let's open it to these guys as a leadership thing and identity thing, because, for us, building cultural identity and making them proud Australian Muslims is probably one of the most important things of what we do. So we thought, let's take them with us. And we opened it up to them and they all came. We had 12 out of the 13 that year come along with us and perform Umrah. So that was so rewarding. And for them, that's something they're going to remember their whole life. And that's as powerful as getting someone drafted, to be able to take them for that opportunity. So it's pretty special.
That's massive.
So do you go like Umrah every year or?
Not every year, but we try to get there because we're so close. Not work doesn't pay for this. This is off our own bat. Annual leave. It's off our own thing. But yeah, that's something we try to do as brothers and staff, just to go along together because we're so close. But that year we thought, let's take those older guys and help them, especially because they were graduating.
The first time you saw the Kaaba, this is not about AFL. What was the feeling on that? Because we spoke about, the first game and you saw the crowd. Like, because I went to Umrah. I went to Umrah first time last year, and when I saw the Kaaba, it felt unreal. It felt like, is it really there?
It's a surreal feeling.
It's like, how was that feeling when you first saw the Kaaba? And it's because growing up, all you hear about, all you talk about is the Kaaba. You pray towards it, you see photos of it, and then you see it. It's just unbelievable. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree. I saw it, and as we're walking towards it, a couple of the boys that I've been a few times, it was me and Ahmed Saad actually was our first time together, and I think Bash and Ali were with us, and Ali for rights, and they walked, they're like, hey, just keep your eyes down, don't spoil it for yourself. So we kept our eyes down. As soon as we got in front of it, like, all right, look up, and it's just this black box. It's just, you're like, man, I've been praying towards this my whole life, and I'm right here, right in front of me. It's quite beautiful. I remember seeing it, I was like, this is unreal. Like, this is surreal, it's just there. It's like, I can't explain it. I actually can't. It was a night time as well, so it's even cooler. The lights are on as well. So, it's quite amazing. And it's as good as that crowd when you look out. It's exactly the same. But yeah, it's definitely one of my favourite places on earth. And once you have that feeling, you always want to go back. Alhamdulillah, been able to go back a few more times. And I think my next step is Hajj. It's the next step for me. Got to try find a couple of people to come with me that I can.
Hajj sounds a bit more scary, man. It sounds a bit more
I'm not going to lie. Pretty scary. It is definitely. You hear stories and how hard it is and stuff. But yeah, inshallah, one day I can. Yeah, when it's meant for me, I'll definitely love to go and get that done as well.
Because you've been Hajj
a few times.
Yeah,
it's for an elite athlete. It's nowhere near as grueling, but it's people talk about the physical side of it.
Yeah.
For me, it's always been more about the keeping your emotions in check over there during Hajj. That's the hardest part. The physical, you can take it, doesn't matter. But keeping your cool and not losing it because it's
the
so
crowd,
many
busy,
people.
and
it's
time,
hard.
patience.
It's hard. Millions of people. Like the logistics of it all, they do the best they can. Yeah, it's not as if you've got air conditioned this, It's tough.
It's tough. That's the tough part you're thinking about.
Yeah, and especially if you're traveling with family, if you've got your wife, partner with you, you got kids with you, whatever it is, trying to keep them safe, keep everyone together, keep everything in order. Yeah. Your mind's running 1,000,000 miles an hour. Because if your kid goes missing there's no PA system that says, hey, so-and-so, please report to this.
And if you say Muhammad, right, everyone can
Can Muhammad come to the tent, please? 1 million Muhammad dropped out.
So there are some basic logistical things that they really trip you up. Yeah. But
you can't do so many people in the one spot. They're doing the same thing. That's
Yeah.
why it's so hard. But no, inshallah, one day definitely love to. That's one I need to tick off.
And
for
then
sure.
to add to it now, like the cost of it
Yeah.
is through the roof.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you, need to
man.
You look at
sell
Hajj
your house
packages
to
that have
go.
now been released now, because Hajj is coming up in a few months' time. You're talking about 17, 18, 20
Yeah.
grand, this and that per person.
Yeah,
And that's not even for the comfortable packages.
right,
That's just
yeah,
for the
yeah.
grind packages.
Is it a comfortable package?
Yeah, there are comfortable packages.
Or like in a bus ticket?
No, well, you get some packages that are like quad share. They put 4 people into one room and you're sharing space with other people. Others like, you know what, just a couple, husband, wife. You
yeah.
get your own sort of pampered treatment, and you're like, you know what, it's
I think
more
I'm
comfortable.
I'm a bit of a. Yeah, I reckon the pampered treatment. It's
Yeah,
what I'll
well,
probably hope
I'm
for.
guilty as charged. So I'm like,
I don't think I can
Yeah.
slum it. Oh yeah, I can't
just
do much
save up a
good.
little bit more, drink a few less coffees or whatever.
That's it. Yeah, wait an extra year.
Yeah, pay for it. Pay for it. But
Ahmed.
it's awesome.
Any last words before we wrap up?
Nah. Just thanks for having me, and good luck for the move. Obviously, a privilege to be your last one, and that's why we held it off so long. So that was all part of it. But
So
nah,
part of the
thank
plan.
you, and
Well, maybe,
inshallah all
maybe
goes
we
well.
can host the next camp. for
Yeah, if
Bachar
you're in Dubai.
in Bahrain or
Yeah.
something, you know, come around. There's some great facilities there as well. So
Potentially,
it doesn't always have to be the UAE. There are other
Yeah,
parts.
we've created such a good network there, and but yeah, we never know
Spread
where
your
we might
wings.
end up next. That's
Qatar
right.
will be cool though, man.
Yeah.
Their stadiums.
It's surreal, man.
It's
Some of the,
unbelievable.
some of the, what they've built over there, like we go there a lot. We drive past
Yeah.
these stadiums and whatnot. It's
Have you been
phenomenal.
Qatar?
Yeah, we went to Qatar was our first trip. We went
Okay.
to Aspire
Oh.
Academy.
Mm-hmm.
7 years ago, I think it was.
Okay.
So that was our first trip, and then since then we've been Abu Dhabi and Dubai. Like I said, we've created such a footprint there at the moment with partners and the schools and even the community there as well. So they actually look forward to us getting there, and we look forward to it too.
Yeah.
So it's becoming almost like you guys are trying to do in Bahrain now and create your own footprint. We felt like we've started to do that in Abu Dhabi, Dubai now at the foundation. which
No,
is cool.
amazing, man. We wish you the best. Nothing but the best.
I
Good
appreciate
luck
it.
with
Thank
everything
you.
you do. And hopefully we'll see you around the GCC maybe. I don't know. You might be floating around.
catch
We'll
up.
keep in
See you
touch,
overseas
inshallah.
now.
Yeah, we'll keep in touch,
Jet
inshallah.
setters.
But yeah, man, just good luck with the academy. Give our regards to Bachar if you see him.
Will
We
do.
spoke to him a few times. He knows the company.
Yep.
It's tough to get him on board us because he's so attached to other things.
Yeah.
But
that's right.
yeah, look, good luck with everything. Take care of yourself. And if you guys enjoyed the podcast, give us a like, give us a subscribe. Like I said, it's the last time in this room, so it's a bit emotional for us. It's okay, don't shed a tear, Muzza. We'll be alright.
Try not to.
But yeah,
Struggling.
give us a like, subscribe, and then we'll see you guys in Dubai. Take care.
Thank you.